I'm all hopped up on coffee and nicotine. So some Xbox stuff got leaked. Their entire future, apparently, according to Mr. Matty Plays. I used to be an Xbox gamer back in the Xbox 360 days and leaking over into the Xbox One days. I didn't get the Xbox One though. When I got done with the Xbox 360, I immediately moved to PC when I had this crappy little laptop, and at the time was crappy. Let's see, 2014, 2015, and it would barely play any games. I had Terraria and Minecraft, and that's pretty much all I played on it. Oh, and Sims 2. And I've been waiting for Xbox to make a huge change for a very long time, over a decade. And from what I've heard, it seems like they're going the way that I want them to go. So let's see what Mr. Matty Plays has to say about Xbox's future.
Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, we are gathering to talk about, wait for it, take a breath, hold on to your seat. It might be a little surprising, but Xbox hardware plans. Indeed, we're taking a break from the Xbox software takeover to dive into hardware plans for the future, including a handheld this year and a next generation system in 20...
I don't even care about the next gen system. I care about that handheld because Steam Deck, it was almost there. I'm a Linux guy. It was almost there. Wasn't quite powerful enough for me. And I mean, yeah, I guess it was good for the price, but I wanted a better one than that. I wanted something that I could probably replace my main PC with, but it just wasn't.
2027, which feels mighty soon when you really think about it, right? I feel like when you compare it to the Xbox One and PS4 generation, it was by like 2014, early 2015. I think of games like Infamous Second Son, Sunset Overdrive. I think of Bloodborne, Witcher 3, where I'm like, yeah, we're turning the corner. Next gen is here. Much sooner compared to like what I feel is we're still kind of getting there, and we're already talking about next generation stuff nonetheless. But also, when we're talking about Xbox hardware, a lot of confidence has waned for this company and their dedication to it, especially after the multi-platform pivot, the declining hardware sales. It seems like Xbox is not incentivized to chase this at all, but they're taking...
Can we get back to having watch parties with Netflix and stuff like that? Is that still a thing? I don't think that's still a thing. I know it went away, and I want to bring that back. I loved that kind of stuff, where you can just have fun with talking with your friends, watching a movie over Xbox Live.
A pretty unorthodox approach to it. They are contacting another hardware manufacturer and having them make an Xbox-focused device. Combining that with their next generation console plans, it makes for a really interesting conversation. So
what would be really interesting would be like if we had multiple Xboxes from multiple companies, as in Xbox be the software and then allow companies to make their own Xboxes and sell them to us instead of it being directly from Microsoft. That would be very interesting and a huge change in how we view consoles and how we play consoles, because there will be console wars between the consoles. There will be Xbox players saying, hey, this version of the Xbox is better than the other version, even though there's not really much of a difference. It's just the different companies. That would be crazy.
We're going to dive deep into a report from, of course, my man Jez Corden, see what's going on here for the future of Xbox hardware, and if there's anything to be excited about. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're into what's going on with Xbox, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts down below as we go along. But let's start off with the headline. Xbox's new hardware plans begin with a gaming handheld set for later this year.
That's what I want.
With full next-gen consoles targeting 2027. First up, it seems Microsoft is working with a PC gaming OEM, or original equipment manufacturer, think Asus, Lenovo, MSI, Razer, etc., on an Xbox-branded gaming handheld, surprisingly slated for later in 2025 if plans are met. Codenamed Keenan, this gaming handheld will look unmistakably Xbox, we're told, complete with an official Xbox guide button and Xbox design sensibilities. Given that this is a partner...
I think it's going to look similar to the Xbox controller, and it'd be black and green like in the thumbnail for this
device, similar
That'd be
to
awesome.
Lenovo's Steam OS partnership with Valve. I expect this handheld to be more PC oriented. It'll most likely run full Windows, putting the Microsoft Store and PC Game Pass front and center alongside the ability to install things like Steam. Let's stop.
Speaking of Game Pass, I don't think they're going to ever put it on Linux, because Linux is a competitor to Windows, but that'd be awesome. This is a close second for me. I would get the handheld just so I'd be able to play Game Pass. and actually download the games, not just play them on streaming. Because I understand with Linux, you can still stream it in the browser, but that's not what I want. I want to be able to install the games on my hardware.
Stop there for a moment. A lot to say here. First off, who do you think the PC equipment manufacturer is? I'll give you one good hint. Hang on. I believe I'm holding in the palms of my hands who will be working on this Xbox handheld. Xbox and Microsoft, creatures of habit. They dip their toe in the pool, see what's going on, and then from there they take the full dive. So I think about in particular with the ROG Ally, or the ROG Ally. I think about this in particular where Xbox is really closely partnered with this device. You know, they were all in on like Game Pass support. Hey, we have the Xbox app here. I mean,
the frame rate for this being low is not me. That is the video. Probably because he's shooting with a camera that has a higher frame rate than the game he's playing.
it is a Windows device after all. So there were a lot of reasons why Xbox was getting behind it, but you could see it was the beginning of a partnership that would grow closer. So that is my personal prediction. But with that in mind, there's a number of things that also come to mind. I use my Steam Deck OLED frequently. I'm in the middle of a brand new New Vegas playthrough, and so wonderful, might I add. I am just loving my time with it. But I've been playing it on my Steam Deck OLED, and that is a very, very...
If we get an Xbox handheld that's actually running Windows, but with like the Xbox Game Bar or whatever it's called, I'll be able to play my Steam games on it. So there won't be really a need for a Steam Deck anymore. Valve's going to have to do some innovation to the Steam Deck in order to make it as popular or more popular than the Xbox handheld.
Very tough device to replace. The price proposition, the battery life, the screen quality, just how smooth it runs. Of course, the lack of headaches also. I just gotta say, I like that it's a very casual focused device. I don't have to maneuver Windows and do updates via, what was it, Game Crate or whatever it was called on the ROG Ally. Bugged the hell out of me. Like, it is just a straight up handheld gaming device. So you gotta stand toe to toe with that. But I think with the Xbox branding behind it, definitely draws my attention a lot more. But I hope that, of course, point one is that it's a gaming-oriented device, less than a PC.
Maybe it'll have like a lighter version of Windows on it. That would be fun if it was a Windows Lite, where they're not trying to treat it as a full-blown desktop, but you could use it as a full-blown desktop without all the bloatware on it.
PC-oriented device, personally. But if it is going to include things like the Microsoft Store and PC Game Pass, this is a great time for Xbox to finally put in front of us, although I think it should have been much earlier as they were moving into this multi-platform plan. I think this is
I know a lot of people that would why can't I talk? I know a lot of people that would 100% buy this Xbox handheld immediately upon release. They probably pre-order it. Don't pre-order stuff, even if you're going to buy it.
This is a great time to get in front of us what this new Xbox Everywhere ecosystem looks like, right? The rumors have been many times in the past that Xbox is working on some sort of guide system, some way to take the ecosystem from platform to platform. No matter where you are, you still have access to a general suite of Xbox things. This feels like a great proof of concept to launch that idea from, in my personal opinion. Now, continuing on, the article says this device will likely serve, at least in part, as a research experience for Microsoft. I expect the handheld will test new Windows 11 device-aware capabilities while reducing third-party OEM bloatware that are typical of devices like the Lenovo Legion Go and the Asus ROG Ally. I expect Microsoft will leverage widgets on the Xbox Game Bar on PC for controlling things like TDP and fan speed, while hopefully having a more streamlined OS experience for controller use. Of course, existing PC gaming OEMs will benefit from these efforts as well, but the research will also help with Microsoft's further out plans.
You could consoleify a PC with this, if this is true. And we could get all the bloatware off of our PC. We could turn our PC into a console and have handhelds, not just like one Xbox handheld. We could have the choice between the ROG Xbox or a Legion Xbox.
So yes, a new Xbox themed handheld in 2025 that's serving as a sort of research experience. And I'm curious what they're going to do here that, for example, they can't do down the line for a real official Xbox handheld? Like, what is the compromise in this device that only Xbox themselves can do? Because the question I have is, how do you make this purchase not feel like just a short-term investment, right? If you buy a handheld this year, this Xbox-themed handheld, like, of course, I'll be buying it. I mean, number one, it's my job. Number two, I cover Xbox a lot. Number three, I'm really curious, but I don't think that is a common set of reasons for most people purchasing. It's like, why should I buy this so that it's my default handheld gaming device? And
When I buy it, if it ends up being good and not just like this random experiment, I'm gonna probably wait a month, even if people are glazing it and saying it's the best thing ever. I'm gonna wait a month because companies with this rolling out software, they end up a lot of times over time destroying what they built that was great because they decided they wanted to do something else.
And as we're going to learn in a second, when Xbox is planning as part of their next generation push to basically make the new version of the Series S and X SKU split, like this hardcore console that will go beneath your TV at the same time as another handheld. It's like, why would I buy 2025's handheld if I know a 2027 handheld from you guys is coming up? So I'm curious how they answered that question. But what we've got up next here is Jez writes, because indeed, our sources also indicate that Microsoft's internal successor to the Xbox Series X and S platform has been fully greenlit all the way up to CEO Satya Nadella. For now, I understand that Microsoft's next-generation hardware plans include a premium successor to the powerful Xbox Series X alongside its own Xbox gaming handheld and several new controller options. Tentatively,
I like that.
It seems these new consoles...
Man, I love options. Is Microsoft coming back? Are they listening to people, giving us options? Are we gonna turn Xbox into like PC space where you can have options? I love options, man.
Devices are slated for 2027. Now, one thing Jez did speculate about on the Xbox 2 podcast is that it would be more PC-like, as we'll get into a bit.
Yes,
this brand new Xbox
that's what I want.
console. But we might have gotten a little taste of this with the Xbox FTC leak that happened, which contained a plethora
Not excited about Halo Studios, but that's a completely different story.
of games and, of course, hardware plans that we even still reference to this day. Now, Phil Spencer did step out when that leak happened and said, like, hey, a lot of these are out of date. But what we did see was like a adorable, all digital Series X as they defined it.
I don't like the way this looks. It kind of looks like a Wi-Fi router. That's what it looks like. It looks like I'm gonna be getting Wi-Fi from this thing. It's gonna be providing my home internet. That's what it looks like to me.
Interestingly was the controller that would lift to wake up,
That looks
automatically
cool.
connect to your TV. So that was like a new step in Bluetooth technology for the controller that I think would work best with cloud gaming. So I feel like that's going to be part of the push, because there was a report from 2 months ago from Jez Court, and he says, I've got it on good authority that Sabile still exists and is planned to launch alongside the next generation of Xbox console hardware. Microsoft wants to retain the ergonomic feel of the existing range of Xbox controllers, but it seems that the grips also house new haptic motors that can direct high-definition impulses. The patent describes how the new motors are spread throughout the device and should activate consistently irrespective of how the player moves the housing of the controller. Also, another interesting aspect of Sabile is the fact that it will...
I don't really care that much about haptic feedback. I am a keyboard and mouse user, and I don't really have any of that on the keyboard and mouse, and don't really want it. And even if I got an Xbox like to use as a console, not as a handheld, I would use mouse and keyboard.
Will borrow a feature from Stadia in that it will connect directly to cloud games over Wi-Fi. Players will be able to directly point the controller at different devices via an active device list of sorts, similar to how you can point Spotify to different
That's pretty cool, but it doesn't. I just want a regular controller. This one is kind of meaningless to me.
devices you've connected your account to. By bypassing Bluetooth, it should help eliminate a few additional milliseconds of latency when playing games in the cloud.
I do
Which may
like
not
that.
seem like much, but it is an uncanny.
I do like the reduction in latency, because that makes things happen instantly, and you don't just move the stick and then you move, right? You move the stick and it feels like you actually moved when you move the stick.
difference, and was a big contributor as to why Stadia often felt faster than competing solutions at the time. So there is a world, I feel, where like this...
For example, when I'm playing Forza Horizon on the cloud on my phone, and I move, and it takes like a few milliseconds for the car to move left or right.
handheld that they're making is sort of like a Steam Deck where you could end up using it like a PC. I mean, these things are getting more and more powerful despite their sizes. And so you could use a controller on it even if you'd like. And maybe that is the idea of the Xbox hardware ecosystem moving forward, is like you can buy this controller and use it on your TV as well as the handheld that you bought in 2025. And it all just works together really well. If this is the vision, it is exciting.
If you could pull the edges of the controller off of the handheld device and put them together and it act as its own controller separate from the screen like a Switch, that would be crazy.
But of course, again, we have another handheld in the mix here, which is your Series S, if you will, for that generation. And then you have a brand new powerful console, it sounds like. What is that console? Jez writes, it seems that the next-gen Xbox consoles will be closer to Windows than ever before, reducing the amount of work developers have to commit to porting from PC. I understand that they will continue to support backwards compatibility.
Wait. Does that mean we're going to be getting PC versions of games on Xbox? We will not be getting Xbox versions of games anymore? No more Xbox ports to PC? That would be excellent, man. Then all we got to worry about is PlayStation ports, which are garbage on PC. Most of them.
With legacy Xbox games too, however. Xbox President Sarah Bond previously announced a project team specifically designed to promote backwards and forwards compatibility for existing Xbox games to that end. Xbox lead Phil Spencer has teased in previous interviews a desire to support third-party storefronts on Xbox hardware too, including platforms like the Epic Game Store, GOG, itch.io, and even Steam itself.
GOG and Steam, excellent. I don't really care about itch.io and Epic Game Store.
There's every reason to presume AI will also have a role to play next gen, as well as Xbox cloud capabilities. Microsoft's new controllers have direct-to-cloud connectivity, from what I've been told, and more intelligently allow players to switch them between different devices. This is where I think the vision really comes into form. Jez says, I've argued in previous editorials that Microsoft needs to bring its core audience along for the ride rather than leave them behind. And its hardware plan seems to be doing exactly that. By linking Xbox to Windows, Microsoft can cast off the need to build a system that is completely lockstep with PlayStation on features and power. Microsoft could potentially target a more powerful box more in line with higher-end PCs, giving developers an easier time to optimize their Windows PC versions specifically for the next-gen Xbox console. Thanks to the Series S, Microsoft already has a large amount of games that could be easily ported to a handheld-type system too. The strong possibility that these future systems will remain backwards compatible ensures that those of us who are digitally locked into the Xbox ecosystem will have a place to upgrade to in the future. Future Xbox games will likely be Windows-oriented, hopefully with Xbox Play Anywhere as a default licensing model.
So that means like how it works on PC, when you get a new game, you just turn the settings down to be able to play it on a lower-end machine. That would be a game changer, literally.
Of course, there's still so much we don't know and can only speculate upon for now. Prices, specs, features, developer support, and beyond. They are for a future report. So now you're starting to see the vision here. One thing that
the vision here seems to me like we're going to stop doing console generations pretty soon, and we're going to just start doing rollouts. That would be pretty cool. Like every 2 years, get a new system. Not like a whole new console, but like you get a handheld, 2 years later, you get a console, 2 years later, you get a more powerful console, 2 years later, you get a more powerful console, and then also some lower end stuff in between that. I'd love to see that. Choices, man, options.
Has happened this entire generation is bloated development timelines. And I do think it's fair to say it is part of the amount of SKUs we have nowadays compared to even a generation ago, right?
It takes too long to make things nowadays, and it's too expensive, and that needs to stop.
Held up the ROG Ally, I have the Steam Deck OLED, you have your PC with all various configurations, thousands of them. You have different consoles at different levels, your Series X, your Series S, you have a PS5 Pro now, you have the base PS5. Hell, let's throw in the Nintendo Switch, then the Nintendo Switch 2. You're developing for so many platforms. It's why you see smaller teams just stagger out their releases per platform, because there's only so many places that you can target. But Xbox's desire here to say that, hey, kind of one size fits all. Like if you make something for our next gen console, then guess what? That's going to work for PC. If you make something for Series X, that's going to work for PS.
That's exactly what I was saying. Oh, wait. Hold up.
PS5, of course, what? That's going to work for PC. If you make something for Series X, that's going to work for PS5, of course, because those two are more in lockstep. But if you make something for the Series S, that might work for this 2025 handheld. That'll also work for the upcoming 2027 handheld. So you start to see.
It's exactly what I was saying, man. Where all the games don't have to be ported anymore. Everything works on everything. I've been waiting for this my entire life, actually. I hope this is true. I hope this comes to light. I hope this comes to fruition, man.
See the vision here where your games, if you're a developer, can kind of live everywhere. At least on paper, it is very much tantalizing to, I think, a developer-friendly ecosystem, especially when you include things like Game Pass. There's just a lot of places people can access your content from and discover your content from, which, quite frankly, discoverability is the least talked about, most difficult part of game development / marketing. Is just there's so much good stuff out there, it's just sometimes tough to even hear about it. So with Xbox having this sort of play anywhere feature, different pieces of hardware.
Yeah, the indie game scene's been going hard recently, and I feel sorry for a lot of these developers because they're making 10 out of 10 games and nobody knows about them. And maybe in like 5 years, people start discovering them through social media and stuff, or they get a random release for some reason, or somebody talks about it that everybody really likes. And then they're like, oh, this game from 5 years ago is a 10 out of 10. Why did nobody talk about this?
Where this ecosystem, this is a future I can buy into. Here's the only problem for me is I already know they ain't going to be a disk drive. And that is going to sting. But, you know, this is...
I'm a PC gamer. I do not care really about the disk drive, especially with everything made to break nowadays. Digital is just better. It sucks it's not going to be DRM free, though. There's definitely going to be some digital rights management bullshit stuck in between all of this. But at least portability is going to be a little better.
Where Xbox is going, no doubt, with their cloud tech and their focus on AI. This is going to be a very digital platform. And for people like moi, see my background, you know, it's just going to be some growing pains, unfortunately. But I will say Xbox Play Anywhere, I do love the idea, like we saw quietly with Indiana Jones, where if you're playing on Steam and then you load it up on Xbox, your save carries over. That
I didn't know that.
Awesome. Like that just seamless experience of being able to just play anywhere, access your saves anywhere. I know Cyberpunk also messed with cross save in an interesting way. I do think that is a big part of the future, and I understand that the kind of digital push is like a necessary evil in my eyes for a lot of that. But look, as a handheld junkie, I already got two to my side here. Got the analog pocket, I love the Vita, you know, like I've always wanted Xbox to do their own handheld. To know that we're going to get two, I'm very keen. Like I will say I'm very excited about that, because while it's been...
That's funny because they're calling it Project Keenan. Aha.
Hinted at so many times by Xbox, it's like, well, no, duh. Just knowing that it's going to happen, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I am very curious to see what Xbox does, throw their hat in the ring on that. And because of the way they're proposing this sort of hardware plan, at least on paper through Jez Corden, what we have here is something that does remove a little bit of a fear of mine for Xbox, which was I felt they were in a bit of a race to beat PlayStation to that kind of handheld, because PlayStation, of course, I just mentioned the Vita, the PSP, to me at least, is so...
If I didn't even think about PlayStation, they're going to have to compete with this. They're going to have to release a PSP or PS Vita 2 or whatever they're going to call it. I hope that it just looks like a really big PSP. That would be amazing, man. PSP is my favorite handheld of all time. I didn't have PS Vita, but PSP, goated.
So synonymous with handheld gaming, like right there with Nintendo. And based on reports we've seen, PlayStation is working on their own handheld.
Yes!
So in my head, originally, there was this world where, okay, Xbox and PlayStation are about to enter a handheld.
Yeah, that weird digital-only handheld, that was a weird thing. It's kind of cool. Way too expensive for what it is, but, you know, they were dipping their toe in the water. And it was a little cold, so they didn't jump in yet. But I hope that they take the feedback on PSP, because PSP is legendary. Just make a big PSP. It doesn't have to look like a controller like that. Literally, make it a PSP.
Handheld race, and Xbox's hardware clout, we'll say, is just down 5,000% right now. All PlayStation needs to do is confirm a new handheld is on the way that's not the PS Portal, which, by the way, did really well. And they are going to smoke whatever Xbox is doing, no matter how good it is.
Yep.
But when you have this sort of...
True. Even if it's not as powerful, if it is a PSP 2 or a PS Vita 2, Xbox won't be able to compete, or it's going to be very difficult to compete.
In-betweener here, and you start to see what the vision is now and for the future. I think they're just on a completely different path from PlayStation, given Xbox is going everywhere. So yeah, I have to admit, I am optimistic about it, because an Xbox device that holds Steam, that holds, I don't really use Epic Game Store, but all these storefronts, GOG, I do use sometimes. Like, Xbox as a device holding all of those would bring me into that ecosystem even deeper. So all they need to do now is just overhaul the achievement system, and I'm going full fanboy here. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on what's going on here with Xbox's next generation plans. Let me know what you're thinking down below.
Let's go back to the Xbox 360 achievement system. I think it was the best, where you'd have a set 50 achievements, and then DLC might release 10, 20. I don't even want DLC achievements. Just don't even do DLC achievements. I got burned because I was an achievement whore back in the day. I got every achievement in Modern Warfare 2, every achievement in Modern Warfare 1, every achievement in Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Modern Warfare 3, and that was the last one. Oh, also Halo 3. And Modern Warfare 3 was the last one, and then they were like, hey, you know what? We're going to release some DLC achievements. Get all these too. And I didn't. I refused. I stopped playing Modern Warfare 3 because of that. But man, I am super excited about the future of gaming right now. I've been kind of hurting. Gaming has been hurting me recently. I've been getting burned. But these Xbox leaks got me super excited, not just for Xbox, but for PlayStation and Steam and GOG and everything. Everything is going to be awesome.
Welcome fire, higher and higher, night will last forever. Loves the moon.
Or, you know, what's some things that he did say that you're excited about? Do you agree with me? Am I alone on this? Obviously not.